Hello again, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the AJ Roberts Show. Today, I have a very, very special episode for you, and I would like to call it our version of Loose Women, except the guy is the host, and this is called Grounded Women. Okay, so today we have our three amazing goddesses with us. We have Farrah Weir, Nicola Light, and obviously Magenta Pixie, as many people know. And today we want to talk about like what's really happening right now, current events, beyond all the optics, beyond all the media, beyond all the fear, beyond all the agendas and the corruption and everything you're being subjected to right now. So this is a perfect opportunity for us guys to come together and just really kind of break a lot of that down, what it means at a sort of 3D base level, and actually what our bodies are actually going through individually and as a collective. Magenta, I'd like to start with yourself, if that's okay. Obviously, you've always kept a keen eye on what's happening. It's been a big makeup of a lot of your content. You know, you purposely put together a structure. I think you do so well. It's kind of like cryptic, but it's for a reason, isn't it? Because not only does it help you, but it also gets people using their minds, doesn't it? It's not just presented, this is the information. They've actually got to think about it. What's your kind of view on current events right now? Because everything that's being presented to people is like rapid, it's fearful. There's literally stabbings, murders, wars, corruption, everything you can think of, every awful frequency pretty much in one pan right now, ready to boil. What's your take on the situation?
Well, firstly, the whole cryptic thing was never planned. It kind of happened like that in response to things like censorship. And that's kind of evolved. And yes, it's become quite fun for quite a lot of people to work out the stories. There are obviously people who don't like that. So what the Nine have told me is, if you will, you could break down this attempted planetary takeover into sections or phases. The Nine spoke to me back in 2020 about this phase of releasing what looks like some kind of, I'm not sure how, if we can speak freely, is this going on?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, speak freely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm banned
Okay.
on most places anyway, so don't worry about it. So yeah.
Okay.
Good
So
job.
releasing, what looks like plague or pathogen, let's say.
Mm.
So the next phase, and obviously it's difficult to break them down into phases because they overlap one another. But the one thing the Nine were talking about, there are several agendas, as I'm sure you're all aware. But one of the phases they spoke about was war on the streets. So what that looks like is the attempted planetary takeover taking place on the ground. So to the unaware, it looks like all these random events taking place that are so awful, so unthinkably horrible, causing extreme trauma to just about everybody who hears about the situation. And they're one after the other, all taking place in different areas at the same time. So it's an overload of war on the streets, and those that are in control of all this can take a step back from those people that are unaware and just present it like, oh dear, this is random and that's random and all these awful things are happening, so that another agenda can be brought in. We need tighter control, we need more surveillance, etc., etc. Obviously, from the higher perspective, this is about waking people up from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many different perspectives to look at, because on the ground, this is an agenda to categorize and control humanity. There are too many individuals on the planet now for that negative structure to control. They are much less in number than we are, and they are fully aware of the Great Awakening. They were fully aware of the predictions for the Great Awakening many years ago. They saw the star seeds coming in, so they know they can't prevent that Great Awakening, so they're wanting to control it their way. So from that perspective, that is what is happening. From a higher perspective, this is because we are at planetary end times, planetary completion, the end of a series of cycles, the end of this great grand cycle. And this is what happens at that time. Every single individual on the planet is given an opportunity to make a choice, and that's what this really boils down to. And the choice is between taking everything you have learned as a soul throughout multiple lifetimes, holding on to it and taking it with you into a new phase. So you individualize, you crystallize everything you've ever learned, all comes back online, all those memories come back, and you take that with you as you restructure into a new form. And obviously the environment responds to that, or rather, it's also the other way around. The environment triggers your own crystallization. The other choice is, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take everything I've learned, because there is not a cohesive thread for some souls. The learning hasn't taken place in balance. There have been, if you will, moving away from that pathway for multiple reasons. A soul may choose not to do that. So their choice is to, if you will, begin again, start again in a new reality, but as a new, naive, innocent, newborn soul. In a way, it's kind of like a recycling process. Some people get quite horrified when I talk about that. It isn't. Neither is good nor bad. It is simply a choice. They are both reawakenings. They're both rebirthing. The idea, though, for every soul in incarnation right now is to take everything you've ever learned with you, because that's what planetary end times is for. It's an opportunity, but not everyone is able to, if you will, make that graduation or make that step. They will get that opportunity again. And all of that is only on a linear level. Everything is occurring in a non-linear sense, and every single person makes that graduation. Every soul makes that graduation. So that's what it really boils down to on a spiritual level. But on the ground right now, we are seeing this war on the streets that's starting to come in. And if you can look at specifically with the UK, it's happening in the US as well. These immigrants all coming in, and some of them being genuine immigrants mixed with a different kind of group or person that are more like a trained militia type of person, that are coming in on a mission, a paid agenda. It's very difficult for a lot of people, unawakened people, to understand how joined up everything is, how all of this is one big agenda. And of course, in between that, you're going to have actual random agenda events that are not connected to that. Very difficult for unaware people to understand, but the awakening is bringing people to that point of understanding these different levels. And if you can only understand the dark agenda and you haven't quite understood the spiritual side of it, that's fine, because that's where you are. Everyone is in their own personal stage of awakening, but the minute an awakening has taken place in any form, then you are on track for taking all of that with you, rather than not, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And that can come in many forms. And you said it really well, actually, on a previous podcast with Pam, how if somebody's literally taking the information and data or whatever it is they choose from a level 3D place where they've always kind of been, into a higher level 3D place where they're looking at things in greater detail, or they're taking things from a commercial and fixed mindset into a creative and doing mindset. That's a big jump up. And I say that to people all the time. Look at the people in your family, just look what their growth's been like over the last 6 months, despite all the chaos. There's never been this much chaos in 6 months in our lifetimes. So like, if you can look at friends and families, actually see the growth in them, you'll see they're on that timeline anyway. And that's why it's so important that we don't focus on waking people up. We need to do all this work ourselves for why we came here, to bring all these aspects forward, all this remembrance of what our soul missions is, exactly like you said, Magenta. And that's what wakes people up, because people are looking at you constantly going, God, you're looking really well. Why are you never sick? Like, what? You don't watch the news? All this kind of stuff. And they just see that repetitiveness. And that's what is making people blossom, and opening up, or wanting to be around your energies, and that as their own energies come out. This is something that Nicola, you do work with all the time, is like, as people going through these phases, but you've got multiple clients and everyone's got a different story, so it's not like a one size fits all, as we all know. But like, in terms of the awakening process and the spiritual connection. What are you seeing like kind of across the board within your groups and like your meditation groups and your clients? Are you seeing sort of like a lot of this remembrance coming through and then it's just expanding quicker and quicker?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you'll get souls that have sort of started around about 2012 that have been on that beautiful sort of journey, and sort of waves before that. And then the quickening phase that has sort of started to come in since COVID. So we get all of these sort of different people coming in these different waves. I've been given this sort of name of an apex light worker, in that it's more of that sort of perspective of a way shower, meaning that there are souls that are a little bit sort of more on with their journey. So it's not hierarchy in any shape or form, but it's a remembrance that's sort of been downloaded through a longer time upon the planet in the linear perspective of being, that enables us to show the way to the ones that need to sort of work through it at a quickened pace. So we've sort of learned and come online to our own understanding, downloading our own data, doing our own healing journey, getting ourselves into that rite of passage into being the way shower for many that are starting to work through their own journey. And it's meant to be that way, because if everybody sort of woke up at the same time, everybody would be walking through chaos in their spirituality. You've got sort of different sort of people that would be sort of holding sort of an agenda of love light, which is beautiful for those that are moving through what I would call a stepping stone. So we would have information about the sort of the basics of spirituality that then sort of allows us to sort of upgrade in the journey. But many people that I'm working with are holding this sort of higher frequency of light that have come here on a mission. And my sort of part that I play within it, within my understanding through activation through light language, is seeing which we're not. And as we sort of rise into a bandwidth of availability for us to sort of rise into the next level of understanding ourselves, we have to push through these beautiful blocks, chaos within ourselves that are shown, which are being played out in the collective. So our inner journey starts to sort of basically fall apart. And this comes in phases of the evolution of the soul's journey. But we must keep pushing through rather than stabilizing. And we have stabilizing light workers that will keep us with that understanding of platforms of information, of angelics, sort of Reiki healing, crystals and things like that. So we can evolve through the multitude of what there is to be seen. And then what we do is then we move through the illusion of self. So when we work into the blocks that keep us out of our light, out of our remembrance, when we push through the blocks which are then started to be seen in many of us that restrict our flow of energy and into our awareness of being able to download the data with who we truly are to ignite that light within, then what I'm seeing is that people are hitting these blocks of restriction. And so when they seek my guidance through my own journey of awareness, then they are able to then start to open up through those cracks to enable them to start to rise. So I'm seeing more and more and more people seeing who they're not. And it's really difficult for them to actually sort of sustain relationships that don't serve them. You know, the old work of, you know, what they thought was mission that may hold a remnants of or what they're actually going to be doing in the future. But it's beautiful to see that people are starting to move through those restrictions of energetic fields, the lower fourth in particular, which restricts the energy, that siphons off the energy from us actually truly understanding who we are. I'm also seeing lots of fragmentation of soul that is kept in the quantum field through time space. And so the retrieval of calling yourself back into the strength of the God spark within then amplifies the energetic field. then you then can move forward, and everything starts to then come online. So my journey, absolutely, I'm seeing more and more and more of the gifts and talents coming in, which
Yeah.
is beautiful. It's all a good thing, but it
Yeah.
does take patience and time and
Mm.
perseverance and commitment into your
Yeah.
healing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was so interesting. And like you say, that the amount of people coming online, like just at our community party on Solstice in the Peak District, the session that you were running, I looked around the room. I was sat in one corner, and I counted 7 women doing light language physically with their hands, and some for the first time. So these are coming on rapidly now, and at every event we're holding, people's hands are starting to go in their toes.
Yeah.
We're getting some massive trauma release on Saturday just gone. This lady, like during my breath work and astral healing session, literally sat up and just screamed, and it all came out of this trauma. And I was just pulling it. I was pulling it out of her, and then she just laid back down and just like carried on as normal. It was just so this is really coming out of people, and I've shared with you girls like just how much past trauma and old stories and everything that I've held in me, and I've shared over the last few weeks. It's been just like an emotional purge like no other. And again, it's that all our universes are speeding up, like beating this drum, aren't they? And it's just a case of, are you going to listen to said drum? That's basically what a lot of people are experiencing. Farrah, obviously the work you do is it's second to none. You literally work with people esoterically, sort of galactically, surgically, like all this amazing work that you do. And obviously, like Nicola, Magenta, and myself, we all work with people individually and also in groups as well. But like for yourself, obviously your journey's been phenomenal, and a lot of your early work, you were very much following Magenta and all her fantastic work and decades of, and you find yourself now in this position, having gone through like especially the COVID phase of things, doing a lot of planetary work, which until people found you on the internet, would have had no idea what that was or what you were even doing, and how it all connects. But like based from that journey that you've been on till now, and what we're seeing in current events, like what's that involvement been for you? Because I know you connect with spirit every day. You're constantly showing things, and it's I always love your version of events because you kind of shown things kind of cryptically as well, similar to Magenta. And it's how you piece it all together. Just like we do our workshops as well. It's all like same day, bosh, this is what you need to teach. What's what taken from your journey till now and current events, like how do you see things at the moment?
Thanks, AJ. First of all, so lovely to hear from all of you guys. Nicola, we've done work together. You've done work on me. I've done work on you. You're a very beautiful, powerful soul. And lovely to hear your take, Magenta. And thanks, AJ, for bringing us all together. What a lovely, beautiful time to be had together. So coming back to, there's so many things I could say, because there's so many things that Magenta said that I could also touch on, that Nicola said. And without taking hours and hours, because I think we could all probably talk about these subjects for a very long time. My journey has been really one of, when I say spirit, I'm referring to my higher self, which is a future version of me, which is named Magda. It's the Geometric Council of 12, working with the Platinum Ray. That's a whole nother long conversation. We can talk about future self, higher self, guides, etc. But my journey has been very much one of learning how to be very present in the now moment. So I'm shown that we come to Earth to have we have themes that we're contractually mastering. And for a lot of us in this lifetime, we're being asked to complete the mastery of all of our themes. So we might have done a theme over 10 lifetimes, a particular theme, and this is really lifetime go 2.0. So that's also why you sometimes find a lot of people who are in a spiritual journey, awakening journey, an ascension journey, are really struggling, because from one perspective, it's not the whole truth, because as we know, it's super multi-layered. From one perspective, hardship is pressure. Diamond is formed under pressure, so pressure equals growth. So you have choices when you're going through hardship. And so I have walked a very hard journey. I'm a single mom to a little toddler who is amazing, and I worked a lot with his higher self, very bossy. When I was pregnant with him, and he's come out very bossy. It's very, very cute. Also bringing in the diamond flame. So this journey has been for me that also around this now moment, because so much is designed within the matrix system, let's just call it that, to really take us out, past shame, guilt, or be in future stress, worry, and all of the systems are set up for us to sort of be very, you spoke about fragmentation, Nicola, and I also see fragmentation happens in trauma through this lifetime. And this is what we're doing. It's a self-actualization process. So we are pulling back these fragmented parts of ourselves that have disassociated, coming online, as Magenta said, the truth of who we are, which is far beyond even this earth. A lot of us actually have done an ascension process, as I'm shown it, and we actually here with the keys and codes to assist Gaia, because that is the fundamental base of what I've been shown. It's actually about Gaia, and her need to ascend, because she cannot hold any more trauma. So it was either she implodes or she ascends. I don't know if you guys have the same information, so I'm just throwing out there what I get. So we're more than capable of doing this. And I have so much compassion for hardship, because I've walked it myself, but I also know it means that you are growing, and it's catalyzing your growth very, very, very quickly. And I don't like to say that you have to have hardship to grow, because of course not, but that's just been part of my journey. So the now moment is how I teach, even, with courses. I said to my guides, I do my walking meditations every day. It's I telepathically have communication through walking meditation. And I said to my guides, well, shouldn't I do a course so I know how to do one? And they were like, nope, you have to do it your way. And then when I had the information my first time, I was so excited, half an hour before I got told, nope, now you need to teach and talk around this. So the more I've surrendered and settled and accepted and embraced my unique teaching, the more it's easily flowed. But I'm not saying that it has to be like that for everyone, because I offer a perspective of understanding, which is now moment. Some people need to structure things. So it's all different in terms of what I help people with. I mean, I'm really, I used to do a lot of healing in the body, and my higher self said to me, it's a time of sovereignty. So what we're asking you to do is hold the container to teach people to do it for themselves. It's a bit of a magic wand band-aid for someone to come along and fix it for us, because we need to look at the root. So teaching people how to conscious astral travel, how to use their pineal gland. And there's many ways, I'm sure both you ladies all know, to do that. But so I'm very passionate about setting a framework and empowering people. And then, going to look at, we hold in our DNA, we hold the memory, even galactic trauma, So there's so many layers to what's being triggered for us. And it can be so confusing around what's going on. So Magenta was saying about how overlaid the agenda is, and it's just a tapestry. It's the same thing I explained to my daughter around the whole woke movement. She's 12, and if you stand on this side of the fence, it's not correct, and if you stand on this side of the fence, it's not correct. So how do we look where it's interwoven and kind of pull it apart and discern for ourselves? And I'm a huge believer that at the moment, this current time, the most important thing we can do is learn how to discern, and through that connecting to our higher self, so that we can, as things get more and more intense and more interwoven, some things are organic, some things are inorganic or agendaed. And I don't want to take up too much talking, but I wanted to share about the dream I told you about I had last year when I viewed, I don't know if we're okay to talk about this online, but I was very interested to get Nicola and Magenta's thoughts on it. But it was last year, September, I was viewing a big field with at night with like black magicians with cloaks, working with technology. I'm not going to go too much into that, and working with bones and blueprints and smoke, moving through some technology I didn't know about, but I won't get into that. And it was this huge field, and I knew I was viewing a ceremony that was being done in different pockets around the world, but I was viewing it, and how I wasn't seen. My guides must do some really cool cloaking and protection. But I realized then when I woke up, because I saw all the smoke come together in the sky to form a face. out of all the little individual smoke pockets of skulls that were coming through. And when I woke up, Spirit immediately said to me, this is the agenda that they're working for now last year to pull in the one world leader, which is going to look like it's a solution. And this is a face of someone I've never seen before. I can tell you exactly what this face looks like. Super androgynous looking, almost like a male Angelina Jolie. I don't know politics too well, so I don't even know if this person is out there. But it was so powerful at the time that I'd viewed it, and they said it's to come later in 2024. And it is a potentiality because, as we all know, the timelines at the moment are so erratic, and even the dark, what they're trying to do doesn't hold the same weight anymore. But I knew it's good to speak about because the more people hold it and have awareness in their consciousness, the more we actually push those timelines out. So I'm going to leave that there.
No, that's important. That's super important. And I posted on social media the other day. So I just said, like, how's your new timeline? And just like left it at that. And there's so many people that just know and feel that there's been this huge shift. And I think for me personally, in terms of optics for person, you'd be talking about just constantly raising the awareness. And a lot of the things we're seeing on the streets of England and stuff like that is a huge rise in masculine awakening. These things have caused this masculinity to rise. It's been shown at the form of like anger, resentment. There's a lot of fear, so all those low level emotions are actually appearing, and a lot of that's designed to do it. But at the same time, that is collapsing things, isn't it? Like it's bringing all these people together, and then it collapses those timelines. Magenta, you talk a lot about timelines and things like that. I mean, for the person watching and listening, who doesn't really understand like how that kind of all works in our reality or what it even means, is it all right to just give a broad overview from your perspective of like what timelines are and how we're kind of like experiencing things at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say it's so lovely hearing Nicola and Farrah's templates as to how they present and explain what they get, because we're all using different words, different metaphors, but we're all getting the same information. So timelines, for anyone who doesn't know what they are, it's important to know that they don't exist. There is no such thing as timelines. This is simply a metaphor for our brain, our third dimensional brain, to understand I think Farrah mentioned tapestry. That's a great way of putting it. The tapestry of the cosmic and universal structure. In truth, everything is happening at once. That's called simultaneous time. But in this reality, we experience linear time. So it's very difficult for us to look at simultaneous time, see everything happening at once without breaking that down, without compartmentalizing that down. So when we're looking at timelines, what we're looking at are probabilities as to the most likely outcome. So we can have a probability for ourselves. So tomorrow, I might have a choice to go to see my sister, or I could go out for lunch with my husband, or I could take my dog for a walk. Because I've thought about those three things, and I know that those three things are possibility. By the way, I'm not doing any of those things tomorrow, other than walking the dog, but whatever. So I would look at those three probabilities, and because I've thought about them, they then, if that thought holds cohesion as an actual potential event. So I could think, let's add a non-cohesive one on to explain. Say I want to draw down a flying pig and go flying off to Egypt on it. That's a thought that doesn't hold cohesion, because in this physical reality, within the laws of this physical reality, I'm not going to be able to pull a flying pig down from the sky and fly to Egypt, because there are no such thing as flying pigs in this reality. So that's a non-cohesive timeline, even though we may have these non-cohesive thoughts. But cohesive potentials are walking the dog, going for lunch with my husband, going to visit my sister. So I've got these three, and I can look at those three eventualities today, and they could all be equal. Or the chance of me walking my dog has a higher probability than, say, going to visit my sister or going out for lunch with my husband. So I'm going to look at those probabilities and think, I'm going to go walk my dog. I'm not going to be visiting my sister, and I'm not going to be going out for lunch with my husband, because they're lesser probabilities. But when tomorrow comes, my dog doesn't want to go for a walk, let's say, or for some reason, and my sister phones and I end up visiting my sister. How did that happen? Because the lower probability then became the higher probability, because these probabilities shift and switch all the time in accordance with my own consciousness and the way that I create my reality. That is happening for us all individually every single second of every day. It is also happening collectively. So there is a collective mind. There is a cohesive collective mind, which would be people who understand this and people who are able to create potential probabilities for the collective. And then there are all these uncohesive, non-cohesive thoughts that don't become actual events because they don't hold enough substance. So that's what we're meaning by timelines. And these are planetary, individual, group, and they are galactic, and they are cosmic, right up to source in the non-linear sense, where everything's happening in simultaneous time. I hope that's helped to explain what timelines are.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant, Magenta. And this
Bloody
is the whole point.
brilliant.
Yeah. It's and we
Keeping it real.
Yeah, and we got front row seats.
Yeah.
So no, it's absolutely beautiful, and it explains it like really, really well. Because you know, some people might get confused. There's lots of talk on social media at the minute about timelines, timeline shift, solar flashes, where you're just going to like experience a big boom, and then suddenly your whole like reality's changed. You know, so people are becoming fearful of that. You know, there's so much. People talk about the shift. People talk about sheen. People talk about like all these like things. So although people have had to go through a massive awakening process and learning new jargon, especially when it comes to like the spiritual aspects and other aspects, it's not now like from an ascension perspective, there's loads of like language just around that as well. So it's really important that we have these kind of round tables and break things down for people so that there's not all this distorted information out there, because again, like the more distortion there's out there, that weakens the collective mind, doesn't it? Because people are all getting confused again. You know, and then there's a lot of but what I'm saying is we need to help the collective understand those are at this kind of broad sort of slow awakening level, which is getting to like near now, which is then going to go like that. Because from I don't know about you girls, but like I think there's going to be a rapid awakening like really quickly in the people that not everybody, because not everybody's like, well, as we know, fully human, and like they're not all going to be on that journey, but like the majority of people who've been on that real slow gradual is just going to go bang, isn't it?
Yeah, new wave.
Yeah, and I think like that's where we need to be really supportive of these people, and then help the people that need to support the people as well, because they've already got that heightened, you know, conscious awareness. Obviously, like Nick, you travel around loads. You do stuff with us, and you speak to all these people all the time. Is that something you see happening very, very quickly, like almost like an explosive awakening, like the tail end of it for them? Is that something?
Yeah, it's interesting is that there's different phases of our awakening journey, and I think that, you know, we're sort of looking at things from the top end, as I said before, that sort of apex of the evolution of the soul's journey. And I think that I did a video the other day with new soul level podcast guy Alex, and he was amazing, and he was like, can we bring it back down to boots on the ground, please, Nicola, because I can go very esoteric. So the baseline, shall we say, the foundation of the awakening journey is absolutely coming online. People are questioning left, right, center. Now, is that awakening journey? Yes, it is. If you've got souls that are evolutionary and they're moving forward to support and create the new, yes, those souls have been online for a while and they're starting to discover what their mission is, you know, that they're co-creating with their higher aspects of self. They're opening up into different dimensions and realms of understanding. Explosive, bringing in their light language online, you know, their greater connection to beautiful alliances of consciousness, like Magenta, beautiful. And it's to see that there will be different evolutionary steps. Not everybody will get to a point where there will be those apex light workers. So if it's the opening of heart, the evolution of the soul's journey is going to walk that journey of that plateau. And if the evolution of humanity is rising from the me, into what can I have for me, materialistic stuff, what is, you know, is it good for me, into what is good for Gaia, what is good for society, what is good for the earth, the environment, you know, the animals, more loving energy, which is the original template of humanity. That awakening journey is absolute out there. People don't want war. People don't want to be jabbed left, right, and centre. People want their children to be in a safe environment. You know, people want what's good for everybody. And there's very, very small amount of people that don't want any of that. So it's levels of the awakening here also. The simplicity of it all is that, yes, there's a mass awakening that is happening upon this planet. And it's even in the animal kingdom, it's in the plants, it's in the water, it's in all elements of the earth, it's in the cosmos. So it's not only actually interacting within this realm, it's actually interacting with the galactic forces that they're learning through us, boots on the ground. What does it feel like to be in the density of all that is, you know? So the awakening is not only just for our starseed into remembering who we are, but it's infinite. The stars, the system, the cosmos, everything is awakening. And it has this beautiful effect for Gaia to really thrive, because the more light that we can hold through our bodies, the greater it is for the planetary system, which then creates a wholeness in, you know, the whole of consciousness. The identification of who am I as we sort of rise up is that inward journey. And as you say, the spark, the shift is everything is within. And I remember years ago, there was a beautiful lady that I was working with, and she messaged me and said, you must tell everybody that it's going to be starships come down and they're going to take us all off planet and we're going to do this and this and that. And I went, I'm not getting that, to be honest with you. That's beautiful. And if you want to move into that story, that's wonderful. Your truth is your truth, and I honor. They did. Amazing. Okay, cool. But from my perspective, the spark comes from inside of us. The spark comes within. We all hold our own truth. And like Farrah said, and like Magenta said, we must work from inside of ourselves, be authentic within ourselves, and then honor everybody else from their own perspective of truth. Now, if they hold a lesser perspective of truth, and we know a higher perspective of truth, then we honor and we comfort them from that journey. If they don't quite get what we're saying, it's just honor what it is that we're presenting, because you never know, there will come a time when the evolution of a soul's journey will see what we see. And I think that more and more people will start to push through that next evolutionary step. So it's the whole thing to me is terribly exciting. And so many people are yearning to get to that point of their next phase, and that's why they are searching, and that's why they find yourself, AJ. People are turning on and want to find in, they're sponging in this information.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I only have to go off the DMs I get on a daily basis now. I get probably 100 odd DMs on Instagram a day, and people are sending me what I can only really describe it as just like messages, but they're decoding, so it's like they're doing it themselves. So like, so they message me is almost like confirmation, like, but I'm like, yeah, you're doing it. A year ago that wasn't the case. So just that in itself, daily, all these different people are decoding all this information that they're seeing, you know, on the news, this and ever, seeing, this is optics because of X, Y, and Z. So they're just going to show you how quickly people are going, whoa, are really opened up and are actually using the parts of the brain that, you know, we've been told is dormant DNA or junk DNA and all this kind of stuff, and they're using that like so much more efficiently. The circuitry is really turning on now, isn't it? In people's heads, the pineal glands opening, obviously, and that's why we're having such this, you know, rapid effect. And then the children and the teenagers, oh my God, I'm like, I don't want to hang around with adults anymore. I'm not joking. Like, these teenagers, they just know shit. They just know it. Like, and it's that there's
amazing.
the amount of teenagers that hate school is unbelievable. And I'm only speaking from the people I spoke to and met. I can't talk from every school, every country, but the number of children just like, it feels like a prison. Like, I don't need to know any of this information. Like, they're calling out half the stuff that the teachers are telling them, and the teachers have just come back with just pure ego and shut them down and put them in detention. So again, it's just these children are being really, their minds are being manipulated at the same time being poisoned so much, you know, because the minute they get up in the morning, the minute they go to bed, it's just all toxins for teenagers, isn't it? Everything. So they're coming through really strong as well. And I think a lot of these teenagers are actually like awakening their parents as well, because a lot of their parents have been so heavily programmed on purpose to, you know, take on the big pharma's advice and then tell their children that they need to do the same, you know, and that's all part of obviously the dark agenda, as you know. But it's so good to see the kids and the teenagers. You know, you talked about animals are going through stuff like massively, and obviously the water is the massive one. And Farrah, we talked about the water, and I've spoke to you loads about like what I've been doing and my understandings of how deep and dark that these waters have been poisoned throughout the world, because it has an effect on the planet's evolution and growth, doesn't it? And obviously, like a lot of these ley lines and galactic lines and all of it, if they're all poisoned and damaged as well, which we travel and move through, that we're not being harmonized by them, are we? And, you know, even down to that on the land as well. I feel that the ley lines and all the amazing work that like light workers and people who's been roaming around the country, like anchoring their light everywhere, like for decades, has all been for now times, obviously. And I feel, and I experienced it being in Salisbury for over a week, just my ears were just ringing constantly, and my house is on a ley line, and the southern ley line, it goes right down to where Magenta is actually. And it's unreal, and it's just massively been harmonized. And there's people who live on it have just said exactly the same thing. So obviously that's awakening us even more, isn't it? Helping us shed all those things, and then that connection to water is then coming in, because well, we're predominantly water based, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, water is the most. I think everyone here could say a lot about water. Hey. You know, I've been working with water a lot. I mean, AJ, you know the story. My son had eczema. I mean, I didn't vaccinate him. He's never had to go, you know, he's only doing allopathic, homeopathic stuff with him. But I had toxicity in my body, of course, heavy metals. That I think he's so sensitive. And so we know that the skin is you know, the liver, and it's the biggest organ for trying to get rid of stuff within the body. And I started getting information around water a while ago, and Spirit was saying to me that water can contain impurities with it, but its source can never be corrupted. So water it holds all the Akashic memories, but it's also the portal between the physical and the non-physical. So it's the closest thing we have in physical form to plasma light. But at the same time, like our DNA is coming online, that memory, water is doing the same. So with the eclipse actually that we've just had, and this new consciousness stream, this ray that's coming on, and I've spoken about how it's expanding molecular structure or structure and matter. It's also activating the water. So depending on where your consciousness is at, the water will interact differently, or it's got codes in it that it's almost like dealing with another being, you know, when you're in it. If you're of someone that has that awareness and has that that frequency and that vibration. So I actually, the Spirit was saying to me, so everything is geometry, light and sound. Magenta, you were talking about I call it the quantum bridge connector, the field where all probability resides and all possibility, and then how do we obviously pull it into crystallization, into the physical. So many things I wrote down. I loved what you girls were saying. I was like, oh, I could say, or I could jump in, but I won't. And so you know, the one day when he was about 8 months old, the Spirit said to me, ask the water to take on the geometry specific for his healing, because the geometry, which let's just use a crop circle as an example, for his healing for eczema would be different to mine, because my blueprint is different to his. So even if I bring in the exact same ray of blue light into my body as Nicola or Magenta, it's going to have a different effect on me, because that's how individualized this process is. And so I started asking the water in his bath every night to take on the geometry, which I didn't have to write out. I mean, I've drawn out geometry and I've put my water on that. But it was amazing, because I did a couple of other things. I put some castor oil in his liver, but his eczema went away. It's like, you know, people say you can take water, and I don't research, you know, AJ, part of what Spirits asked me to do is I even try not to listen to you too much, Magenta. I actually don't really listen to anyone anymore, because they're asking me to keep my channel pretty pure, so that I'm not, you know, there's no ego stuff around information. But what was I going to say now about the water? So I don't research. I hear from people, there's people doing amazing things with water and like these tests and stuff. But I do know that simple thing about you can speak love to water and then feed your plant, and you can speak hate, and, you know, the plant has a different interaction. And then what Spirit was showing me is you can take it even so many steps further, whereby you can actually ask water, like it is a consciousness to take on. It has all the information in it, and we're going to start working with water as it. What was the word they gave me? They said it's synthesizing at the moment, which I'm not even quite sure what it means. But my idea of it is it's being in synthesis process through this new ray of light that's coming on to the planet. I mean, sometimes I have to Google the stuff. I don't know if you have the same, Magenta, if you put words and you're like, I don't know what you're talking to me about. I often used to have fights with my team, and I'd be like, guys, why are you talking to me about this? I don't know anything about science. So it's very exciting. And I actually had a vision on my walking meditation this morning of, as we evolve and as we come online, or like, that term is, as our DNA, we spark, you call it the cellular memory cascade, Magenta. As I have a slightly different word, but as that process happens, we're going to be able to start working with water where we can actually move it, like the water bender, you know, the air bender, and same with matter and plants and everything. So I just also wanted to mention around the infiltration in the spiritual community. I think you were talking about it, Nicola, and, you know, these it's very important to know that there's so much psyops designed to take us away, because you were talking about the big flash is going to come, or the aliens are going to save us. And it's all about like that savior complex, where something outside of ourselves is going to come and sort out our debts and sort out our problems. And that defeats the whole point of this amazing journey. And so important for people who are listening to be aware and cognizant of, don't sit on your laurels, because I think that happened to a lot of truthers in 2020. You know, we just got to eat our popcorn and sit here, and I get it. But this is such an amazing opportunity, if your soul chooses that, to really alchemical union and within yourself, you know, and through that actualization process. So talk to the water is what I want to say. Have fun with it.
It's really important, because what I've been showing people a lot of recently is like how they've manipulated the water over like aeons, and this is like longer than our lifetimes and everything. So if the planet is the same percentage of water as we have water, and we're always saying that, like, you know, your earth is you. Earth is an anagram of heart. You know, heart is how we project our experience. So if like that large body of water is manipulated, inflamed, and poisoned, like just like it is in our body, that it can't. There's no actual room for any growth there, and it's exactly the same as a planet. So how do they do it? Well, they put oil rigs all over the planet, drilling down into Earth's core, and paying people lucrative money to go and do it to their own Earth. You know, offshore rigging and stuff like that. You have the installation then of all the wind farms, which just pump out pure negative frequency into the water and onto the people, and then they convince people that it's all about renewable energy, and that people should invest in that kind of stuff. That's to keep the climate change, obviously, BS alive. But then obviously you got the salmon in the Atlantic, you know, which obviously travel and migrate on the lateral lines. They have lateral lines on their body. So you herd them all up into little farms, squash them in with each other, spray them with loads of stuff, and then put it in your supermarket and poison us as well. So it's like all these little agendas is all about poisoning the water, you know, in every fashion you can think of. Look at all the contracts at the minute, or the investigations into all the sewage companies in the UK like have been purposely poisoning the Thames and stuff like that, and people just carry on as normal. So again, like, people are waking up to all that kind of stuff, and obviously down to your home level, they put fluoride in the tap water. So everything's about the waters. But for me now, like, I can see it as we've got to flip this. It's all about healing the waters. So, you know, people need to get out there. People need to get on the coastlines. People need to get in these sacred places. People need to be collectively doing all this healing work and planetary work, and want to be a part of it as well. That's what's so great about, you know, online communities and stuff. They want to be part of this work, and because us four here plus everyone else has all come here to do it, right? So that, you know, the way I see it is, anyone watching and listening that wants to get more involved with that kind of stuff, and why you truly come here, just reach out, join the communities, and, you know, that we do so much work in this is so important. Magenta, obviously for yourself over the next month, obviously you've got a lot of things going on. You've got a lot of talks coming up, and things like that, and events, etc. But in terms of like what we're seeing over the next sort of 30 days, and this is probably the first podcast around table where we haven't even mentioned Donald Trump yet, and we've been in it like however long. And I know obviously his character has a big part to play in this whole thing worldwide, and as a part of that divisional stuff that we're seeing at the minute is very much involves Mr. Trump as well. But from your perspective and what you're seeing and his involvement in this, do you even see like an election even happening? I don't feel that it will get to that point. That's just me personally. But like, obviously with everything ramping up at the minute, do you think everything's just lined up for Trump to kind of just come back into presidency?
That's such a great question. Before I answer that, I just wanted to say, Farrah, what you said in your previous, when you were talking about the field and your dream, I just wanted to say, I also have dreamt of a field with darker stuff going on in there, which I shared. And I felt that the field, a presentation of a field in the dream, is the field of energy, the higher field, the morphogenetic field. So what you were seeing in your dreams, showing you what is being done at those levels, I feel. But dreams are so multi-leveled, and it's just wonderful to see your connections. And if I've helped, I know you said you listened to my videos back in 2015, if I've helped to move you into that place, then I'm really happy, because you're obviously really connected. Let me just answer that question. So as I was saying before about these probabilities, these different eventualities, so we can look at them in equal probability. So the election goes ahead, the election doesn't go ahead, there's two. Or it could be something that mixes the two together, as in the election is planned but has to be delayed for some reason, or is only delayed for a short time, and then when the new date comes in, it's delayed again. Or that some kind of legal thing occurs with the different candidates and it can't go ahead in this way or that way. There are so many ways that this could play out. What I see, and what I've always seen right back before 2020, and I have a lot of people say to me, oh, you weren't right, you said Trump would win and he didn't. Yes, I did feel at the time that it was 2020. I couldn't conceive of this overwhelming psychic impression of him coming into the presidency. I couldn't conceive of that not being what I was shown, even though I did see the eventualities of that not occurring. I don't feel I was understanding the way that energy can be interpreted in such a metaphoric sense. So I would not now make the same, if you will, it's not a mistake, it was part of my learning. I wouldn't sit here and say Trump's going to win the election. It's too literal, because there may not be an election. The election may be presented differently. What I see, absolutely, and what I've always seen, is Trump taking the role of the president. What does that mean? we need to look at the whole political system, not just in the US, but across the whole world. And the UK is somewhat mirroring that pattern, and other places in Europe are. What does that look like now, and how is that being restructured? Just like I was talking about war on the streets, the people that are waking up, how you said, AJ, about things being flipped. And one of you mentioned the children. That's it, AJ. You mentioned the children in school and how they are being in the education system, challenging the teachers from the inside. The same thing is happening in politics. There will be changes from the inside. So you've got this dark agenda of wanting to control the entire thing. And back to your dream ferret in the field and the one overlord, the one face. So that is either that there really is one person that they're going to put all their energy into as a representative, or that one face could be metaphoric for the one group. Either way, what that means is a one world government or a one world leader of some form. That is the darker agenda, which is so similar to the agenda of light, which is unity and oneness, but it's structured in such a different way. So you have these two energies vying within all the systems, including the political system. So how I see that going is, yes, Donald Trump takes a presidential placement, however that may look. It doesn't mean he wins the election and the election goes ahead, possibly, but there's a lot of chaos here. And the reason why there's chaos is there's a massive chess game being played. So you've got the light, whether you want to call that higher dimensional influence or white hats or whatever you want to call that. You've got that coming in from one side, but then you have the dark agenda coming in. So there's move, there's shifting this. The dark have their plans. Those plans have been scuppered, very much so by the assassination attempt not working. And I know people have their different views on that, but that was supposed to work and it did not. And so that's had to change. So they've had to restructure and change. Then there's the whole Kamala Harris thing, which I've seen for probably since 2020, her being prepared to take the place of the, if you will, dark queen, or whatever you want to call that, the higher dark priestess, whatever name you want to give that position. So to be president on the earthly presentation in 3D from the dark structure, that is a position of royalty within the structure behind the scenes. So she's been prepared for that right since 2020, potentially before, in ceremony, in dark magic, huge preparation. And so she is led to believe it will be her, and many around her believe it will be her. However, the dark structure is not loyal and does not hold integrity to its own people, even though they have to hold loyalty to the overall structure in order for it to work in some form. They still do not hold loyalty individually. And what I see is them not adhering to that original plan for Kamala to be that, and that someone else is going to step in, or something else, or some kind of shift. Because what I saw in that vision was Kamala being very betrayed and angry. Whether that takes place in this election or in some other form, I don't know. But ultimately, what we're looking at is the oneness of a political structure, which is further down the line. So we're looking at a round table kind of structure where all are equal, like the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur. But getting from where we are now to that, there are multiple different stages in 3D. Those individuals embracing higher thought already have that structure within them. So their consciousness is working to bring that same pattern into all of the other structures. So what I'm seeing as a potential is more than one president. We've already had that for the last 4 years in one form, because there's been a false president and a true president, and the false president has been presented as the true president, and the true president who really won the election has been behind the scenes. That's one form, but there are other forms of that. Maybe a bifurcation on the actual 3D political structure, where half of the US is loyal to this president and half is loyal to that president, or maybe more than one president and actually a bifurcation within the whole of the US. So there are different, I wouldn't call them states, but different domains. And this may be in a, let's say, legal sense rather than actually on the ground. So what do I see actually in November? There are several potentials. All I can say is there is a presidency and a winning energy around Trump, as there always has been. How that manifests, I cannot say. There are so many different eventualities to play out.
Do you think, and this is a question for all three, do you think there could be an eventuality where, obviously this is based on a lot of the research and stuff I've put out there with Brad Wozney, who's Canadian, and we've literally showed all the documentation to show that Canada is actually part of the United States of America Republic. It's not actually been its own sovereign country ever. So the Canadians are kind of American. So in essence, it's one big region. So do you think there could be, based on that, and just how like the United States is a registered corporation in England and the United Kingdom is a registered corporation in the United States? That's why that's why they get away with all the GDPR, the data stuff. They send all our data to the States, and the States send it all here. So it's all like one cohesive unit, you know. And that, although Canada's been part of the British Empire, it's actually been part of the United States. And that's going to come forward now. So do you think Donald Trump's role, my question is, could actually be a president, but more of a regional president, whereas like the United States could be broken up into states, you know, like Texas obviously is going to have a big part to play in the future. California needs completely flipping upside down. You know, and probably people within those elements or states. And Donald Trump's actually got like a much wider role as a regional thing, just like is it bin Salman, the guy from Saudi Arabia, him being more of a focal point from the eastern side of things if we were to talk regions? Do you think that's a possibility or a possible timeline in the future?
Shall I answer that first?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
I would say yes. I don't know about the Saudi Arabia thing that you mentioned. I'm not familiar with that, or haven't had that brought to my attention. But yes, absolutely. And what I would say is something is going on in the UK. I mean, it's happening throughout everywhere in different forms. But because I live in the UK, I sort of see more energy of UK energy. And obviously the US is the central point of everything. Yes, absolutely, it could be like that. And a similar thing is happening in the UK. I had a very interesting dream, not last night, but the night before. I was going to make a video about this actually, but I'll just mention it. When you go to court in the UK, you get court documents that will say something like at the very top, on behalf of Her Majesty's service, or on behalf of the Crown. Right? So any court document is all on behalf of the Crown, isn't it? In the UK, everything centers around that. You can't move out of that system at the moment and go outside of the Crown if it's a court appointed official document or something. So in my dream, I went to court, but this was a different kind of court. It was actually in a schoolroom in some unused, no longer used classroom in the back. And it was like, didn't look anything like a court, but it was a court. And I don't know why I was going to court or what I was going to court for, but this person who was standing as a solicitor in this little unused classroom handed me my documents, and I looked up and it actually said, instead of saying on behalf of the Crown or on behalf of HRH or, you know, the King, the Queen, whatever. I'm not familiar with court documents, thank goodness. But what it said was on behalf of Diana, Princess of Wales. And I remember looking at it thinking, how come it's on behalf of that? Now, in the dream, I was surprised, not shocked. When I woke up, I was like, wow, what I take this to mean. I'm not saying Diana, I'm not saying she's alive. She may well be, I do not know. But her energy is alive and very strong because she was one of the representatives for the UK within the Crown that was one of us, a starseed, let's say. And there's much more I could say there. What I'm seeing is that there is a new legal system that starts to form outside of the current system we have. And it doesn't answer to the Crown. It answers to this other branch Now, it may not be Diana, but it means it's something different that was part of the crown, that's branched off. I'm seeing the same thing in the US. So we've got this political structure that's been a closed political structure. Once Donald Trump became the president, he took that place that was supposed to be reserved for the Dark King or the Dark Prince. He took it, and he was not that. He could not be the Dark King. He could not be the Dark Prince. He was of the light, of activating and connecting to the light, regardless of what he thought of in 3D. He usurped because he was a lower probability. As I was talking about before, the higher probabilities were looked at. Hillary Clinton was the winner in all of those viewings, whether it's using technology, like you saw in your dream, Farrah, some kind of technology, or whether it was actual collective remote viewing. They saw Hillary Clinton win. The lower probability, which the 9 call a wild card, is what manifested at that time. So these things are still occurring. These lower probabilities, these wild cards are hidden. Even psychics can't always see, no matter how good they are, even psychics can't see. Why? Because the minute we see that, it's put into the collective field for the dark ones to see. So this chess game is being played out in all these multiple levels. Anyway, I won't talk anymore. Let someone else answer your question.
What's really funny, people were listening to this like for the first time and maybe like not so familiar with the language. We sat there going like, I just wanted to sit and chill, watch Netflix. Like, what have I done?
Good idea. Actually, you could watch House of the Dragon, the spin-off from
Game of Thrones.
Spin-off from Game of Thrones, because what we had there was a bifurcation in a royal system. There was one king, and then that bifurcated into the true queen and the false king. And there's a lot of truth in these science fiction.
Oh yeah, massive
films and stories. And watching Netflix isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
On you choose what you watch.
yeah, definitely. Nicola, obviously, I know you don't get like too sucked in or really look too much like the political side of stuff. Like stuff just comes to you as and when it's needed, or you'll see what you need to.
I do.
But from what you know and feel and stuff like that, and your understanding of the states and how pinnacle it is and everything that's going on, how do you see things kind of like evolving down that kind of route?
Yeah, the thing that's always within my mind is sovereignty, which you just spoke of, Magenta, but sovereignty for the people. So the more that all of us that are waking up and to claim back our sovereignty, not only on paper, as you say, within your dream, but also within the universal system. Once we start to claim back our sovereignty through time space and not be so fragmented, we reclaim back our sovereignty of light. This then superimposes into physicality, where we start then to come online with reclaiming back our birthright. And so we must complete our mission into creating the new systems, the new financial system, the new governance, the new schooling system, the new medical system. This is the way forward to run concurrently with what is happening right now. So what's happening in my mind's eye, and what I just got a download for, and already know it, but I just got a little bit of a backup because I'm like, what am I going to say? Is that what they're showing me is that there's the old system that's running here, but the new system is slowly coming online through the awakening journey of those that are going to create the new. So the new teaching systems, the new, all of it, without itemizing all of it. We must create the new to give people choice about where they place their money, where they send their children to school, what they are going to eat, how are they going to clothe themselves? Are they going to tap into the old system of the suppression, or are they going to awaken into the new? And this is the bridge that I see. And I always speak about this, is that we must focus on the new and the light. If we focus on the old system, we're going to add to the collective energy of it. So the perspective of what we're waking into is to focus into the new. Yes, we can have an awareness and a superficial sweep of the old, But when we focus into the new, then when we are creator beings and sovereign beings that are super powerful, we can then move into that collective energy, into creating, sparking those people that are here to create the new financial system, that are here to assist people on their rise, that are here to assist the animals and the children, and to create new sustainable products, etc. So it's the new awakening of those that are here, boots on the ground, that will create the new systems. So yes, there is the old that is collapsing, but the new must rise. So we can point fingers, blame others, put in timeline trajectories and all of that. That's beautiful. That's wonderful, because we need to see all that is, but the focus must be in the new. So I see it is that if we're listening here to this conversation, what is it that you are here to do? What is it? What is it that you need to speak up, to be authentic with, and stepping into who you truly are will then allow you to create that new template to be what you came here to be. And that, in my mind, is more important than looking at the deconstruction. We know it's going to go. We just know. And there are some people which will be there to assist in showing up and shining light on the shadow. So again, different people hold different perspectives on it. They're all different truths. My perspective on it is absolutely we must create the new. And that's something that's running in the background of my work with my new life partner. And I'm sure I'll sort of share that as I go. But we must create the new. We must create the new.
Yeah, and I know Farrah shares that, the exact same feelings and emotions, and it's well, I mean, I know all four of us do, and it's sort of what we preach daily now, because the old can't dissolve, and what's there to be if like we're not creating it, and I know it's because we've all been programmed as well as to be like super reactive, haven't we, like our entire lives. Because it's a big, like we're only born with two fears, aren't we? Like the fear of falling and the fear of sudden loud noises or something. So we're reactive. So, and I'm always trying to show people that we need to strip back all that stuff that just makes us reactive, all the triggers, all the devices, all the point, all of it, and actually like turn the lens inwards, as Farrah says amazingly all the time, to project what we actually want, because rather than being a reactor. So we literally just need to take the C, don't we, from the middle of the word reactor and then bring it to the front. So you become the creator. Like that's literally all we need to do. And like individually and collectively. And Farrah, I know, you do lots of group work and stuff like that, because it's all about that, that creation from a collective mind. And that's why I've changed all how things are run in our online community and doing the meditation down on Monday evening to get more people around the world all connecting and creating this grid, so that we create together rather than just people in the UK at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So we're opening up the space for that reason, and obviously your sentiments and what you know and what you feel about like how important America is and UK and all this kind of stuff. And I know you do like to get caught up in the politics side of stuff, but do you think?
I do like to look at it. I definitely, it's so amazing to hear Magenta and to hear Nicola. I just love how people are just becoming so much more authentic. They're stepping into their authenticity, and something my guides keep telling me is with the rise of what I call it luciferic AI consciousness, and I'm not going to get into, the grand central sun and the black sun and organic versus inorganic. Just my model of a way of working to understand the soul's, individuation process and the whole dark light thing. But as AI rises, because that shadow that has been in the background, that's actually artificial intelligence is lacking the God source at the nucleus, which has had the control on the planet. And when we talk about these service to self people or souls that still have that organic intelligence at their nucleus, they've just decided to side with what I call luciferic AI consciousness. But It's important to know. It's important to know because this is not a quick, I don't see this as a quick, I don't see a flash happening and everyone wakes up and yay, we're awake. I see like 80 to 100 years of like, don't put anyone off. What we're sowing in this lifetime is massive, but this is the long game. So as I'm shown it, I asked to see 10 years into the future and my birthday's in January. So it was in January and I just asked to see, and I saw a big bridge and I saw all this beautiful on the right-hand side, lush forest, people living, you know, so in oneness, and a golden dragon. And on the left, I saw a very black technology city, black dragon. And then I saw people sort of crossing over these bridges. So some fully immersed in fairy life and some sort of, you know, and coming back to the authenticity, the more AI comes through, we could have videos that look exactly like us, which is not us. And the only way people are going to know is if they are so connected to their higher self, and they can discern. So that's very important. And part of that journey is knowing the truth, understanding the truth, holding some awareness around what's to come without putting too much focus into it or stress around it. You know, it is important. So as AI rises, authenticity is going to be more and more sought after, whether people are, sorry, I don't know what's going on with the sun here, guys.
I think it's looking
lovely.
beautiful, actually. I was just
Gorgeous.
admiring
I'm
the
like,
sun.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm blind.
Oh,
So,
God, beautiful.
so I wanted to say, because you guys are all in the UK, you beautiful souls, when that assassination attempt happened, it is not by coincidence that it was 11:11 UK time, because Spirit has shown me for a while that so much of Donald Trump's protection, I get goosebumps, comes from the powerful light warriors in the UK. I'm here in little old South Africa holding the flag, but just kudos to all of you, because what you are doing there, it makes me actually emotional, whether the light workers are aware of it or not, through their own journey of love, opening the heart, coming into coherence, healing themselves, taking responsibility for their reality, and knowing what's going on, are sending out a collective signal that is so huge. And it was a little synchronicity to you guys. There are a lot of powerful light workers in the UK. So I just had to say that. It's funny, Magenta, I had a dream 2 nights ago. I was being taken into a school room to be taught something. And I was looking at like you were saying, you're at a court, but I was going into, I was supposed to be learning something, but as it came up on the board, all code came in and it started changing. So what the old learning would be, it changed. And then as happens quite often, my little son woke me up. He sleeps in bed with me. So funny that we had similar energetic dreams 2 days ago. I see as Magenta said, I mean, when she had such a great explanation of timelines, and as Nicola's saying, we have to build the new. Absolutely, both so true. I am of the feeling, because we have that human anomaly factor which can throw everything out, and as Magenta talks about the wild cards, my sense is that through this bifurcation, the splitting process, there will be such a call because of the awakening for Trump to be in office, that even if it doesn't go ahead or it breaks or it splits, they are going to be two different realities playing out for different people. So, for example, for the people who are really against him, they might be governed by, I'm choosing this person to govern me. So if we talk left and right, and for others. So how that plays out is, I mean, there's infinite potentials for that. But I do not see us getting to the end of the year and getting through this year into next year with it being the same as it's been for the last 4 years. So there's definitely, the energy is chaotic. You look at the astrology, Magenta, you have to meet Diane, my amazing friend. AJ knows her. She's like Pam Gregory in South Africa. Yeah, her and I do a lot of work together. You'll love her. She's amazing. And when we look at the astrology, which I'm not an astrologer, the energy is very chaotic, which is great because we need things to come up. We just need to know, and as we're feeling and navigate whatever is coming up within ourselves. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. It doesn't matter how we get there. We have to hold cohesion. And I feel like a lot of us have personally gone through quite a lot. Like the last 3 months have been quite personally tough for me. And it feels like we've done that so that as this chaotic energy comes, we've moved through as light workers certain things we needed to clear so we can hold an anchor as the collective goes a little bit over the next couple of months. So
Yeah,
I hope that makes
absolutely.
sense.
No, that was amazing. It was very godly with the
Lovely.
sun on you as well.
I
We just, I was
can't
hoping
see
Nicola
anything.
would burst into song like during it, just to like,
Do your beautiful light language, Nicola. Come on, you're
yeah.
amazing. You've got such a gift, girl. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
She has, and it's great. And you know, I've witnessed so many people over the last year whose codes from Nicola have actually started coming online, and they've really been coming out at events and stuff. And I've been like, let's just let it come through, and you know, it's been really good to see.
Yeah.
And it's a privilege for me, really, to have so many amazing people around me like yourselves that just bring so much amazing wisdom to the table and teachings and activations in myself. You know, I would not be doing what I'd be doing if I didn't have people like yourselves around me and loads of other people out there. They know who they are, that have been, you know, we're all working together, you know, in this amazing coherence. As that's one of the biggest things I saw when I was in Costa Rica from my journey there is like all these amazing people and this huge soul team all collectively work together like higher selves and their galactic selves. It was amazing, just this huge galactic family, like literally to get to kind of witness that myself. Just confirmation really that we're all here working together, like in the physical and also at an esoteric level, like all planned, just like this podcast, you know. And you guys always talk about like really being present and being in the now moment, all this kind of stuff. And I do say a lot, you know, is that it is exactly that. It's a present, it's a gift to be able to like be in that now moment. And like I was mentioning earlier, like this podcast, we've already pre-sent this experience. And because we're all collectively working together. So, you know, I really want to encourage people to get on board with joining the communities that we all share, and get involved as much as you can now, because like it will help you with your own evolution, and you're going to connect with loads more like-minded people. Everything that is within these spaces is very much from a place of bliss and joy and love and all the higher ends of emotion. You know, there's no negativity there, like none of it. It's so that helps you rise, and then together we rise. Like, and so, you know, and also it helps you to use your discernment better about the information that's out there. So if you're in a community where it's very the information is very much in flow, it's all resonant with you. You know, you don't need to be out there like trying to like be on Telegram all day and like this, that, and the other. It's all about connecting with star seeds now, not like trying to wake people up. So I really encourage that, and I'll put a link in the show notes, guys, for our own community, which has got a free membership now, and you can come and join. I know Nicola and Farrah are going to come and jump on like once a month, and we're going to do some amazing work collectively, so everybody is a group. As well as obviously we'll do our weekly meditations and community calls as well. So it really gives people that part of the week to look forward to. But Magenta, Farrah, and Nicola, is there anything you'd like to share with anybody? Obviously, please do let us know where people can find you on the internet, and if those that are new to any of your work. Magenta, obviously, you're out and about on a lot of platforms. Where's the best for people to find yourself?
If you go to my website, magentapixie.com, then I've got a little list on there to get to my Telegram and get to MeWe, and you can find me on email. So magentapixie.com will then lead you if you want to find me somewhere else. I'm quite active on the Telegram group. But I just want to say to Farrah, it's no accident that this light is coming in as you're speaking. I mean, these things just don't happen by accident. And what I'm seeing from that, what I'm being shown personally, is you being, if you will, ordained, or you're being anointed at that moment in your speaking as that light warrior that you are, and way shower, because you know, I've never met you before, but the things you're saying, the way that you're connecting, the light coming in, is no accident. That's how I would see it. If I was watching this and not one of the speakers, and I was watching and I saw that, I'd think, wow, I'm being shown to take note of what you're saying. And the fact that you're in South Africa, my lovely friend Zingdad is in the same country doing some wonderful light work over there. I don't know if you're familiar with Arne Allingham, Zingdad. I've been friends with him. We don't connect that often now, but I've been friends with him for a long time. He has his own website, and you know, he's not that active online that I know of, but he has put out some fantastic videos in the past. He's in South Africa. So I
Amazing.
just wanted to yes, yeah, look him up, Zingdad. I'm not sure where, and obviously South Africa is a big country, but I just think it's just, there's no accident that that light is coming in like that, and you've got the rainbow shards coming in from beautiful. So
Thank you. I can't actually, my screen doesn't work properly on my computer, so I can't see colors properly, which means I can't see myself properly, which is great because then I don't distract myself.
yeah.
So I can see there's some light action. Magenta, I don't know. It's that there's such an amazing. I feel very emotional. I feel a lot of heart coherence between the four of us. So sorry if I'm getting emotional. I feel that there's so much vibration and that was lifted and raised through this conversation. And personally, you've been, yeah, as I said, I found you many years ago, and I can't tell you how full circle it is to sit here and have you say such beautiful things to me. It means, for me personally, like the world. So yeah, and Nicola and AJ, you know how much I love you guys too. So thank you. It's so special for me personally.
You're absolutely welcome. And where can people find you, Farrah? Well, I'm pretty sure after this, with all that light coming in, I think you're going to have clients in abundance who want to work with you, and B, that soulmate will turn up. Just saying. Wow,
that would be amazing. And yeah, just what we're meant to be doing. Hey, I do at the moment. Most of my work is one-on-ones. And I have a beautiful membership that I'm also going to be doing a bit more with. And that's my website, which is farrahweir.com. Farrah, like Farrah Fawcett. And then I do try to post on Instagram. You know, I have a little one, so I can't get as much content out as I would like. I'm here to help and serve as much as I can, but I think I will more as he's getting older. So thank you. And yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Nicola, where can people find yourself?
Yeah. Nice and simple. It's nicolalight.com. That's my website where I offer mentoring and light language transmissions. So I go deep into the energy field and upgrade their templates into downloading more information. My speciality is the understanding of light language, as there's an awful lot of fear with light language because people perceive it to be something that they don't understand, and then that ignites a little bit of worry within them. So so I assist people with their light language ignition. I have an online course which has helped so many people understand their own light language journey on Udemy, which is linked on to my website, as well as I have a YouTube channel myself, which is a sort of small growing beautiful community where I bring through a lot of light language remembrance. So a lot of the codes that I bring forward is and you see my journey of my understanding and inner standing of my own wisdom sort of come online, because I'm like Farrah, I don't tend to source outwardly. Everything sort of comes in and I'm like, oh, really? And then so yes, I'll have Nicola Light as my YouTube, as well as more on Facebook rather than Instagram. So yeah, so nicolalight.com. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure being on this round table with you all. My heart is sort of, you know, together we rise. It is so important we come together. Is, you know, we can be strong in our own individual right, but the stronger we are, the more that we come together and connect our dots, as I call it. Because that unification field, that unification of heart just is just amplified. So yeah, I also, just before I finish, I also have a small Patreon group as well, if you want to join me on there. Brilliant. Where I sort of help people through with extra content, and that just helps support me on my journey as well with, you know, producing lots of content on YouTube. So just sort of
And-
help subsidize.
And I can't recommend your YouTube channel enough. It's really good because like the videos are kind of like long enough but short enough for you to get the real vital points down. It's always like in flow and to the point and very, very educational.
Thank you.
And especially when it gets people to understand like the makeup of our planet, how we experience it, and then obviously collective consciousness and how that's then affected, and how we're now your videos about how we're now being, you know, real conduit to the earth and what stops us from being that, etc. All really good. But ladies, thank you for joining me today on this special edition of Grounded Women. This will be going out very, very shortly. And yeah, you know, it's, like I said before, it's an absolute pleasure for me to like, you know, to do this, to host this, to have you three amazing experts in your fields of what you do join us today for the benefit of everybody else watching and listening, because everyone's going through quite a turbulent time right now. There's pure chaos. There's every frequency in one pan you can think of just being shaken. You know, backwards and forwards, dark light, dark light, dark light. And that's basically what we've been involved in since we were born. But no, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure everybody watching and listening will be jumping onto all your content in no time at all. But ladies and gents, please look after yourself and keep doing the work. You know, now is your time. I know you feel it. You know your soul's journey is pulling you in a particular direction. That drum is beating faster and faster every day, so please listen to it. But for me and the ladies, look after yourself, and I'll see you once again very soon on the AJ Roberts Show. Much love.
Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
Bye.